Good evening, everyone, and welcome from Austin, Texas. Welcome to the May 2025 online gathering of the Austin Ukulele Society. I'm awful glad you're here with us. We're going to have a fun time this evening. A couple of great songs. We're going to play together for our warm-up and closing song, and we're going to do a lesson on a really terrific song, Take Me Home, Country Roads. Let me do a couple of really quick introductions. Jen, who normally would be on the chat, she is away this evening. And so my wife Lyda is going to be on the chat. So please give a big hello to Lyda on the chat. Tomorrow, just as an aside, tomorrow is Jen's birthday. So if you would also in the chat, please wish Jen a happy birthday so that later when she watches the broadcast afterwards, she'll see all those birthday wishes, okay? So do give Jen a happy birthday greeting in the chat. Say hi to Lyda. Also, if you're a first timer, let us know. And let us know also where you're watching from. It's always fun. I don't get to watch the chat during these live streams, but it's fun to see afterwards where people are watching from. It's always really exciting to see the number of people who are out there. So Jen is away. Tomorrow's her birthday. Lyda is on the chat. And then to help with the presentation, I've got our friend Fran. You want to say hello, Fran? Just lean in.
Hi.
There's Fran. You may recognize Fran from some of the Austin Ukulele Society videos. She is a frequent participant, also very active online. You participate in the 100 Days of Ukulele and other things. So you may recognize her from those things. So thank you, Fran, for coming in to run the projector when we get to the songs. I also imposed on Fran and asked her to sing. When we get to the end of Country Roads, I will go through it a couple of times, and I put Fran on the spot. It's like, hey, would you like to sing live on the internet? Nothing like dropping a bomb on you unexpectedly. But that's what I do. Let me give you a quick rundown of the agenda so you know what's going to be coming up for the rest of this evening. First, I have some announcements that I'll be doing. And then we will do our warm-up song, Bob Marley's Three Little Birds. And then we will dive into our featured song, Take Me Home, Country Roads. And we will do a breakdown of that song. So we'll run through it once. I'll play it so that you get a sense of the arrangement. And then I have a series of exercises where we will take a close look at the strum pattern. We'll look at the chords and how those chords fit together into progressions and musical phrases that create the song. We'll then build those things, kind of attach them together so that we get comfortable with the song. I'm also going to take a little music theory aside to talk about the circle of fifths. Now, during my last live stream, I did do a little discussion on the circle of fifths and how it can help you get a better understanding of certain types of songs. And I got a lot of very positive feedback on that. So I've decided this evening to kind of extend that. So we're going to revisit the circle of fifths and kind of take that one step further and kind of build on what we looked at last time. And how that song, how the circle of fifths can help us get a better understanding of Take Me Home, Country Roads. So we'll look at that. We'll go through the song a couple of times. We will then play our wrap-up song, On the Road Again. And at the very end, after we have finished, I usually play some videos. So what you'll see, I just posted 2 days ago our most recent video, Roy Orbison's You Got It. And so that'll be played at the very end of this evening. It's only been out a couple of days, so if you haven't seen it, you'll get to see it at the end of tonight's broadcast. Our performance of You Got It from just a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago to tonight, that we did at our regular meeting place here in Austin. So that, in a nutshell, is the agenda for this evening. So let me just run through just a couple of quick announcements. One is, as we have done right from the very beginning, when we first started doing these live streams back in 2020 during the whole COVID thing, when we couldn't meet together in person, I've asked people to take a selfie or have someone in your home take a picture of you playing your uke, wearing your Austin Uke Society t-shirt, watching the live stream, whatever, and then send that photo here to austinukes@gmail.com. If you could please do that, let's say by Saturday, which would be the 24th, if you could send those to our email address here. What Jen and I do is we go through those and we build collages out of them, and then I post those on our web page. I post it on our Facebook page. It's just fun, and it's an opportunity for me to get to see your faces. I get to see the regulars, and begin to associate some names and faces, since I don't get to see you all. So if you would like to, take a picture of yourself and send it to us here at austinukes@gmail.com, and it'd be great to see your face. All right, so please do that. Wouldn't be a YouTube event if I didn't encourage people to subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, that way you'll get notified when we do these live streams in the future and when we have other events coming up. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and click that like button as well. Honestly, it's the only way that YouTube takes any notice of us at all is when people like what we're doing. So if you do like what you see, please go ahead and click that like button. All right. Also, just as an aside, we are a not-for-profit organization, and if you would like to make a donation to the Austin Ukulele Society, you can go to our website. On the main page, over on the right-hand side, there's a great big button there that says Donate, and it'll take you to our Square site where you can make a donation. It's not required at all. Jen and I, our intention is to continue doing this as long as we can, but there's no reason. We're not going to be monetizing anything. There's no reason to pay to participate. We all want to keep this completely free and open to everyone. But if you would like to send us a buck or two, it's always helpful. It helps us defray our operating costs. So not required, but if you would like to, people have been really generous. I cannot tell you how grateful I am that people have been so generous in helping us out to help just manage our costs. So thanks for that. A couple of notifications of upcoming events. If you're going to be here in Austin on June 25th, we will be hosting a workshop with Sho Humphreys. He is back in town. He's graduating from Berklee School of Music in Boston this month. He'll be back in Austin, and just like we did last summer, he will be doing a workshop and a concert here in Austin. So save the date. It'll be on Wednesday, June 25th at 7 p.m. at St. John's Church, our regular meeting place. Jen will be sending out more information on that soon. If you don't know who Sho Humphreys is, you should check out the cover story of the summer issue of Ukulele magazine. He is on the cover, along with some other folks identified as the new and upcoming generation of uke players. And Sho is from right here in Austin. So Sho, if you're out there, looking forward to having you back home. Let's work on something together. And looking forward to your workshop on the 25th. July 12th, Jen and I will be hosting our next open mic at Kick Butt Coffee. Very exciting. So if you're here in the area and would like to come and get on stage and participate in our open mic, sign up starts at 3:30. The show will kick off at 4. We run for 2 hours. We never have a problem filling 2 full hours of music. So do check that out. Again, that's going to be Saturday, July 12th. Sign up at 3:30. The show starts at 4. If you're not in Austin and would like to watch the Ukulele Open Mic event here in Austin, it is going to be live streamed, not on this YouTube channel, but on the venue's YouTube channel. So you would go to the Kick Butt Coffee YouTube channel, and they will be live streaming this ukulele event on Saturday, July 12th. So it's all very exciting. We'll be back here for our next online gathering on July 24th, so I'll be looking forward to that. That'll be coming up in just a couple of months. And then finally, just a real quick announcement I'm very excited about. In September, the North Carolina Ukulele Collective and several clubs in that area, including the Fayetteville Ukulele Club, are going to be hosting the Fayetteville Ukulele Jamboree. And I am very pleased that I will be there to teach a couple of workshops. So very excited about it. It's going to be on Friday and Saturday, September 19 and 20. And I'll be teaching workshops on each of those 2 days. And what I'm really excited about is this is going to be kind of like Austin Ukulele Society on the road. So on each of those days, we'll be doing basically an Austin Ukulele Society in-person meeting where there will be a featured song. I will do a detailed breakdown of the song. We'll look at the strums and the chords and the vocals and the picking parts. And a video will be shot at the end of that session, just like we do here in Austin. We'll be doing, again, one on Friday and then a different song on Saturday. So again, it's the first time we've done something like this of an Austin Uke Society on the road. I'm very excited about it. I know that people come here to Austin to join us at our in-person meetings, but if you haven't been able to do that and it's more convenient for you to get to Fayetteville, North Carolina, it would be great to see you there. In fact, I think Mary Hill, who is one of the organizers of the event, I believe she's in the chat. Mary, if you are in the chat, would you mind just saying hi and introducing yourself and let people know where they can find more information about the Fayetteville Ukulele Jamboree? That would be really awesome. So check that out. Mary, if you're there, hello, thanks for joining in. And those are all the announcements I have. Let's go ahead and play some music together. All right. All right. So for those who aren't familiar with how I have the cameras here set up, I've got the bob cam here where you can see me talking, singing, and doing some strumming. We also have the strum cam down here so that you can see what I'm doing with my fretting hand and my strumming hand. And then over here, we've got the words and the chords will appear. So, and again, Fran is going to be operating the slide presentation for us. Thank you, Fran. So the way we'll do this, as we have done for every one of our meetings since we first started meeting back in January of 2011, we always start off with Bob Marley's Three Little Birds. It's just a 4-chord song. We use a very, very simple and straightforward strum pattern. It's just a way to get us to limber up our fingers and warm up our voices and remind ourselves, importantly, that everything is going to be all right. Every little thing is going to be all right, at least for the next 90 minutes or so. I cannot speak for anything that will happen after that, but 90 minutes, we're doing all right. We're going to start off by strumming on a C chord. We're going to use this very basic strum pattern, nothing fancy at all. I will start us off strumming. You join in strumming on C, and when I get the impression through the internet somehow that we're all together on the same beat, I will count us in, all right? So I'm just going to start strumming on C, like so. Not too fast. Ready? Here we go. And 1, 2, 3. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Let's do the verse again. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and true. great way to get started. Okay, let me switch over to our featured song. Light, is everything going okay so far? All right, I'm getting the thumbs up. Just loading up the next song. I was going to tell you also that as we go through the lesson on the song, please don't hesitate to put that question in the chat, and Lyda will pass that right to me. I like to think of these gatherings like this. It's almost like a one-on-one in person, in that we can do a lot more close-up things. We can dive into things in a little bit more detail. So if you do have a question, or if there's something you would like me to go back over, just put that question in the chat. Lyda will get it to me. So I know there's a slight delay, but in almost real time, I can answer that question for you. All right, so let's cut back over. And all right, we're doing great. Was Mary in the chat?
She's in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Mary.
She has not shared a link, if that's
okay.
So I've asked her to.
All right, cool. Let me get this all set up here. Microsoft has added a bunch of AI features to PowerPoint, and I have to disable them every time because I don't want artificial intelligence to outshine my natural stupidity. That's what makes all this work. That's how you know it's live, when I make mistakes. Okay, Take Me Home, Country Roads, a terrific song, fun to play, fun to sing. John Denver, this was his first really big hit back in 1971, made a huge impression on everyone. It's just a really great song to sing, to play. And what we're going to do is I'm going to sing the song once for you, so you can get a chance to see all of the different slides, see all of the different chord changes and the lyrics. Then we will dive into our detailed lesson and break that down into its component parts, all right? All right, so, and just as an aside, we're doing this song in the key of G. John Denver's original is in the key of A, so it's down 2 half steps from what John Denver is playing. You can play along using these chord shapes with John Denver by putting a capo, for example, if you prefer, on the 2nd fret of your ukulele. You can do that, or just play along with us, all right? So we're going to get into this. One thing I want to point out, I'm probably not going to do that little picking part, although we're going to cover it when we get into the lesson. But there's this nice little lick that appears at the beginning of the song. You probably recognize it from the original. So I did put the tab here. If I were playing as part of a larger group where there's some people who could be strumming and some could be picking, I would probably pick through that. So I did want to show it to you, and we are going to look at it in a little more detail. But I'm probably not going to pick it. I'm just going to strum through the intro, okay? All right. So here we go, Fran.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and up. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum, da-dum. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. road, I get a feeling that I could have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Down country roads, take me home. Down country roads. All right, that's the song. Okay. So, let's now jump into this and do our detailed breakdown, our practice exercises. Everything okay, Lida? Looking good? All right? Cool. All right. First, let's talk about some rhythm guides, I call them, some notations that you probably noticed in the actual chart, as well as our strum pattern that we're going to do this in. So, a couple of things here. One of these is something I call a stop, just to make it real clear what we're doing there. So what a stop is a break from the strum pattern. So rather than playing through the full 4 beats of a strum pattern, what we do is play just that first downbeat, and then we immediately mute the strings, okay? So if I was going to do that, for example, on a D chord, which is what we do in the actual song, actually it's a D7, what we'll do is we strum through it and mute it. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm using the palm of my hand. You can also use the side of your hand, your forearm, elbow, whatever works for you, but I use the palm of my hand. Let's do that together a couple of times. So on 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm playing a D7 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. There's a little notation of strum, so that's when we resume strumming after we've done a stop. So, for example, at the end of the bridge where we do the yesterday, yesterday, country roads. So there'll be a little notation there that says resume strumming there. A hold is kind of the opposite of a stop. It's also a break in the strum pattern, but instead of muting the strings immediately after we do that one strum, we just let those notes ring out, okay? So for example, if I do that on a G chord, this appears at the very end of the song. We just do a... So let's do that. I always do this gesture where I strum out with my hand, just as a way to encourage the notes to travel out into the space. So let's do that together on 4 on a G chord, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So you'll see those notations in the arrangement when we go through it. The last thing I want to mention is what appears to be a little apostrophe. This is a vocal rest, and this is used throughout the song. And what we're doing there is we're pausing our singing. So these are places where we are strumming, but we don't immediately start singing on the first beat of that chord being strummed. We pause for a beat or maybe even 2 beats. So let me just show you an example of that, where we have here in the verses, where we have these 2 rests. So the very first 2 beats of that G chord, we're not singing. We don't come in until the 3rd beat of that 4-beat strum, okay? So it sounds like this. Fran, if you wouldn't mind advancing us when we get to that spot. Thank you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. Almost heaven, rest, rest, West Virginia. Rest, rest, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Okay, so we want to stop there. All right, so Again, you get the idea there. So it's rest, rest. Almost heaven. A 1-2 West Virginia. And a 1-2 Blue Ridge Mountains. Shenandoah River. Right? In the bridge, there's a 1-beat stop where we play this. So, I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. Right?
Sorry.
All right. So again, the idea there is the very first downbeat of our strum on that E minor we don't sing. I put these in here so that when the group is playing together, it's just a signal of when we need to come in with our singing, and so that we're not anticipating the lyrics and coming in ahead of time. Okay, so that's what those indicate in the chart. All right, let's look at our strum pattern here. And I'm going to mute my strings to do this. If you're not familiar with how I present a strum pattern, the idea here, all of our strum patterns are going to be 4 beats. And in this particular song, all of the chords are played for a full 4-beat strum pattern. We don't have a situation where we're splitting the strum 2 beats on one, 2 beats on another, or some other combination. Throughout this song, every chord that we play is going to be played for a full 4-beat strum pattern. In fact, in a lot of places, we play the same chord back to back, 4 beats and 4 beats. So we stay on the same chord for an extended time. This strum pattern, the idea here is we've got 4 beats. For every downbeat, we've got an upbeat. So our arm is moving down, up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We want to keep our arm in motion, but we're only going to make contact with the strings with your finger, or if you're a thumb strummer, with your thumb, where those are indicated in black. Where they're grayed out, we're not going to make contact with the strings. So our strum pattern here is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Join me. If you need me to go slower, let me know. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 up, down, up. If that is challenging for you to play, if you're new to the ukulele, or if some of the chords that we're going to be playing, if they are challenging to you, one of the things you can always do is just do 1 strum per chord. It's perfectly fine. I always encourage folks to do this at our in-person meetings. It blends in very nicely with the full strum pattern. So if you need a little bit of extra time to get your fingers in place for the next chord, it's perfectly fine. Instead of doing a down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, you can simply do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's always an option. One thing I wanted to point out on this strum pattern as well, you may have noticed when I was playing, or maybe I wasn't doing it enough, I put a little bit of an extra push on that number 2 downbeat. I think the term is whammy. I put a little extra whammy on that number 2 so that the first downbeat, that number 1 there, is a little bit gentler, and maybe it only hits like maybe the top couple of strings, and then a little extra boost on 2. So instead of doing 1, 2, down, up, down, up, 1, 2, down, up, down, it's more of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Does that make sense? I think it fits in nicely with kind of the folk country sense of the song, to kind of put that little extra boom, bum, daka, daka, boom, bum. If there was a bass player, they would absolutely be reinforcing that that kind of sense of that additional pulse on the 2 count. So if you would like to do that, please feel free to do that. All right. Was there a question, Lida?
There's somebody who made a comment that said 1/4 note and 1/8 note rests. No question though, but I don't know if he's just trying to clarify.
I'm not sure what that means in this context. I'm sorry. So
Let's repeat that and see if there's a further information there. So Chris Pike Ukulele Channel says 1/4 note and 1/8 note rests.
1/4 note and 1/8 note rests.
I'm unclear.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Chris. If there's a question or something I can clarify, please let me know. I'm happy to reply. All right, so let's move on to our chord progression. So this is our first chord progression. This is what we hear in the verses. Every one of these boxes that you see down here is 4 beats. So every box is one full 4-beat strum pattern. What we're going to do is 4 beats on G, another 4-beat strum pattern on G, then we transition to E minor for 4 and 4, then D for 4 and 4, 4 beats on C, and then 4 and 4, we're back home on G, okay? Now, one thing I like to share is that transition from G to E minor. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. I mean, obviously you can play, just the kind of traditional arrangement of the E minor, like so, and this is kind of the simplest open form of an E minor. Just another thing that I like that I do myself sometimes is to do something like this, where what we do is we play our G chord, just our traditional standard G chord, then without moving our fingers at all, leaving our fingers completely in this G formation, take your pinky finger and put it down on the 4th fret of your C string. We see in the second, in the photograph on the right-hand side. So that takes us from G to E minor. If we can do a little close-up of that. So this is G chord, and then I'm just taking my pinky here and applying it to the 4th fret of the C string. So G, E minor, G, E minor, etc. All right? It's just a little thing. If you find that helpful, feel free to use that. All right? So let's go back to our pattern. Yes?
So Chris Pike, Ukulele Channel, says the commas that represent rests are equal to an 8th note. Just an observation. Repeat that, they can't.
Actually, in this particular song, they represent mostly quarter notes. So, for example, well, and again, it depends on what, if you're rendering this in 4/4 or in 2. I understand what you're saying. Yes, it can be that these are 8th notes. The way I've rendered it here, I'm actually interpreting those as being quarter notes. But it really doesn't matter. In our strum pattern, it represents 2 beats for the most part. There are, in fact, places where it represents a half a beat, but I haven't made that distinction just because I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that. So I hope that I understand what you're saying, and thanks for sharing that, Chris. Let's move on. Okay. All right. So let's play through this a couple of times. So 1, 2, strum on G, Anna. E minor, D, C, and G. Let's do it again. G, G, E minor, D, C, and G. Let's do it one more time. G, G, E minor, to C, to G. All right. Yeah, it was one of the things, it's interesting that Chris mentioned that, because it's one of the things that I really got kind of confused about. Do I treat this as being rendered as quarter notes? In other words, each chord is a full 4-beat strum pattern, or do I treat it as where it's actually, we're doing 16th note strums, where the strum pattern is actually an 8-beat strum? It doesn't matter. It's just interesting how you can bring a different interpretation to the song depending on how you want to portray that on the screen. All right. So what I'd like to do now is let's play what we just played, but we're going to put it in the context of the lyrics, right? So now we're going to sing along with the chord progression that we just played. right, so here we go. I'm going to slow it down a little. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountain, blowing like a breeze. Okay, just, yeah, you can stop on the stop. All right, let's do that again. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and a rest, rest. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. All right, great. Was there another question, Lyda?
Is there a book to actually read the notes, especially the scales? Somebody else chimed in, there's lots of books.
There are lots of books, yeah.
So repeat the question.
So the question was, is there a book where you can find the actual musical notation of this? Yes, there are lots of different places. I don't create the song in that manner, mostly because it's copyrighted material, and so I don't want to produce musical notation. Although I do include some in the handout, but absolutely, you can find, just search for Take Me Home, Country Roads, sheet music, and there will be a number of places that you can find that. In fact, many of which you can actually choose which key you would like to have the song rendered in. It's original A or a different key. So lots of places where you can find it. All right.
I think they were wanting a book with scales, that they could practice the scale of the... I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. If I didn't answer your question, please let me know. I'm happy to revisit and take a look at it. All right, so here we are now in the chorus of the song. And again, here we have situations where we're playing 4-beat strum pattern, twice on G, twice on D, then E minor, and on C. Okay? So let's just go through this a couple of times. So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, and play. To D, to E minor, to C. Let's take it from the top row again. To G, to D, E minor, C. One last time, back to G, D, E minor, C. All right. So the chorus has got 2 strum patterns. There's kind of a part 1 and a part 2. The part 2 of the chorus begins the same. So we have 4 on G and G, 4 on D and again on D, then 4 on C, another 4 on C, and then G and G. Okay? So let's just go through this a couple of times, and then we'll do the whole thing together. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, G. D, to C, to G. Again, G, to D, C, G. All right. So let's put those together now with the lyrics. Okay? So if you would operate the slides, Fran, we'll go through this. And the way the countdown will work is it'll be like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Try that again. It's 1, 2, 1, 2. Country roads. Because again, we've got that country, that's a pickup. 2 beats, pickup into roads. So we don't start strumming until we get to roads. All right? So here we go. 1, two, a 1, 2. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. All right, let's try it again. All right, one more time. So here we go. 1, 2, a 1, 2. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. All right. And then the last part of the song we have here is our bridge, where we start off with E minor for 4 beats, to D, to G, and then again on G, then C, G, and then 2 times on D. All right, let's play through this a couple of times. Here we go. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, and a to D, G, C, G, D. Let's do that again. E minor, D, G, C, G, D. Again, E minor, to C, to D. Great. And then the second part of the bridge, again, we start off with 4 beats on our E minor, but then we jump to F. Again, E minor to F. The only place that the F chord appears in the whole song. C to G to D. Again on D. Then D7, followed by a stop on D7. Okay? So let's play through this. Here we go. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. F, C, G, D, D7, stop. Let's do it again. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and F, C, G, D, D7. Great. So let's put those two together and add in the lyric. So again, here we have this first down strum of the E minor chord. We're going to do a rest there, a vocal rest there. I hear her voice. Here we go. We'll take it a little bit slower, okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday. Boo-doo-doo. All right, let's do that again. I love this bridge, by the way. This transition, I know it's not a modulation to minor, but it creates this minor sense that goes along with sort of the mournful, homesick tone of the lyrics. I don't know. It takes a song that would otherwise be sort of a generally good folk and country song and really turns it into something really special that has some real emotional impact behind it. I love the way this is in here, and again how it transitions over to beginning with the E minor chord, especially the place where it then takes us out of the key to F. We're going to talk more about what that looks like when we talk about the circle of fifths. But I don't know. So my hot take on "Take Me Home, Country Roads," I love the bridge. It's a really good bridge. All right. So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. All right. Oh, and I didn't put a stop there, did I?
Well, but
Oh, I guess so. All right. Oh, I did. I intended us to go on to the next, but that's fine. That's fine. That's great. All right. So what I'd like to do now is kind of just take a step aside and look again, kind of like we did last time. I'll do a very quick recap of what we looked at during our last live stream. But then I'd like to kind of maybe take it to the next level of how we can understand or use the circle of fifths to get a better understanding of the songs that we're playing. As I mentioned, I started a conversation on this during our last live stream when we were doing a medley of 3 Tin Pan Alley songs, which would lend themselves really nicely to a study using the circle of fifths. But since I got so much positive feedback, I thought I might kind of take us up a notch on that. So let's do that. Quick recap on the circle of fifths. So what the circle of fifths is a tool, is a mnemonic, could be pneumatic, but it is a mnemonic device to help us get a better understanding of chords, of keys, of scales, and how these things fit together to create songs. How do we create a circle of fifths? We start with a circle. We divide that circle into 12 increments. So we've got 12 spaces, kind of like the face of a clock. We've got 1 through 12 all around the circle. Why 12? Because there are 12 tones in the chromatic scale. That is, if you were playing a piano, going from one C to the next C, or the note just shy of C, there would be 12 white and black keys that you would touch. We are using a musical system that is based on 12 tones. All right? So we have 12 spaces around the circle. As a matter of convention and history and tradition, we start with C at the very top of the circle. I mentioned that last time, that this is based on tradition and history and convention, but I didn't explain why, and I will talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But we typically start with C, and then we build from there using the fifths. What does that mean? What it means is we're using the fifth note of each scale as we proceed around the circle. So for example, if we start with C, C, D, E, F, G. G is the fifth note in the C major scale. So the next thing we're going to put there is a G. G, A, B, C, D. D is the fifth note of the G major scale. So a D goes there. It's a fifth away from G. D, E, F, G, A is the fifth note in the D major scale. A, B, C, D, E. E is the fifth note in the A major scale. And we just continue in that fashion. I won't count it all out all the way around, but if we continue in that manner, we come back around in the end to C. All right? So now we have built our circle of fifths. And one of the things we talked about last time was how we can kind of use the circle of fifths as a tool to get an understanding of how chords relate to each other in a song. So, for example, one of the things we talked about is this very special relationship when chords are separated from each other by a fifth. So, for example, C and G, and we used G7 because the songs we were doing included that G7. So this kind of C to G7. You can see that there's kind of this, it feels very natural to go from a C to a G, in this case a G7, and it wants to pull you back towards the C. All right? And how we can construct songs by making our jump a little bit further away from C and then working our way back up through the chords by fifths until we were back at our starting place. So for example here, which you may recognize as that, a very common strum, a very common chord progression, sometimes referred to as the Hawaiian turnaround. It's used very frequently in Hawaiian music to kind of get started and transition between verses. This C, G7, G7, C. How we can go further, we jump away to A, so from C to A7, and then work our way back up through the fifths back to C. You get something like this. C, A7, E7, G7. So you feel the sort of natural pull, and that's a very common chord progression that you hear in music. We can even take that a step further and jump from C down to E7 and work our way back up through the circle until we're back at C. Something like this. A7, D, G, which you may recognize. 5 for 2, eyes are blue. Oh, what those 5 feet can do. Has anybody seen my gal? Again, this pattern of jumping to another chord away from our bass chord, our tonic, and then working our way back up through the circle. This construction here is it was very popular in the early part of the 20th century. So throughout the Tin Pan Alley era of music, the late 19-teens, the 20s, 30s, even into the 40s, you will find hundreds of songs that kind of are based on this pattern. I even thought of one that I don't have it written out here, but you can even go further. You can take it from C all the way to B. If we start at C and do Mr. Sandman. Mr. Sandman to B. Make me a dream. And then E7. Da 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 da. Back to C. Again, it's that same pattern. Very popular in that genre of music. Was there a question, Lila?
How much of a difference is there between Nashville numbering system and circle of fifths?
Okay, so there was a question about how much in common does the circle of fifths have with the Nashville numbering system? And that is an excellent question. There is actually quite a bit of commonality in terms of lessons. I'm not going to cover that during this live stream, but if I get good feedback about how this went, if people like this kind of content, people let me know in the chat or in the comments. If you're not watching this live, if you're watching this as a recording, let me know, is this something that's useful and helpful to you? Because I can see taking this kind of the next level would be to introduce chord shapes and to introduce concepts like the Nashville number system. So let me know if this is something that's helpful. All right, so that's in a nutshell, in like 3 minutes, what we covered last time. Now, what I'd like to do is introduce a new element to the circle of fifths that appears in this song, Country Roads, but also appears, of course, in hundreds and hundreds of other songs. So let's take a look at that. And what I want to introduce is the idea of what are called relative minor chords, relative minors. And relative minors are not your younger cousins. All right, so we start. Sorry, Fran.
That's good.
Yeah. So we start with our circle of fifths. Now, there's a couple of different ways of describing what we mean by relative minors. There's some very technical ways of describing it, and I'm going to discuss that. But I'm just going to show you some of the ways I think about it, because I think it's a lot easier to sort of think about it on the fly. So if we start with our circle of fifths and we go 90 degrees away clockwise from C, for example, I tend to think of it also as a clock face. So I go a quarter of an hour clockwise. Well, A is the thing that's there. So A minor is a relative minor to C major. C major is a relative major to A minor. We can proceed likewise around the circle, because you'll notice these minors now build in the same order as they appear in the outer circle, in the majors, in the same order, just shifted 90 degrees, shifted a quarter of an hour, if we think of this as a clock face. All right? We can, of course, look at this the other way around, too, going the other way around the circle. So this indicates to us that D minor is the relative minor to F. G minor is the relative major to B flat. C minor relative major to E flat, etc. So we continue around the circle. So now we've got all of these major and minors written in. And this is typically when you look at an illustration of the circle of fifths, you will see typically this is how it's done. The major chords are around the outside. The minors, the relative minors, are on the inside. And what we're going to talk about in just a moment is how do these factor into a song? But I wanted to start, well, at least give you the more technical explanation of what we mean by a relative minor. I mentioned earlier that C, by tradition, appears at the top of the circle, and that's because C, the key of C, has no sharps or flats in it. Again, we're getting into a little bit more of an arcane description that is probably less practical, but this is how you're going to hear the circle of fifths described, so you might as well hear it from me. C has no sharps or flats in it. That is, the C major scale has no sharps or flats in it. In other words, you can play the C major scale on a piano and not touch any of the black keys. And the C major chord also has no sharps or flat notes in it, okay? Neither does A minor. A minor and C minor both have no sharps or flats in their scales, that is the C major scale and the A minor natural scale. There are no sharps or flats in them, and the key signature has no sharps or flats. However, as we work our way around the circle clockwise, G major has one sharp in it. And in fact, if you know the numbering or the naming scheme of the staff, you'll know that that sharp on there is on the F line, meaning that in F, F is sharp. Okay, so it's made sharp. D major has two sharps, A has three sharps, etc. Working our way around the circle. Going the other way, going counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, F has one flat, B flat has two flats. Also, the line at which that accidental, the flat appears, that is the note that is flatted. E minor has three, etc. Okay? So this is the more kind of technical explanation of what is a major and a relative minor. It's because they have the same key signature, they have the same number of sharps or flats in their scales. Again, this is not terribly useful from a practical perspective, but again, this is the correct explanation. So we're going to kind of look at this in a little bit different way. How we can understand what these relative minors are and how they work. Was there a question, Lida? No? Okay. All right. Okay. So let's just kind of talk in just general terms about major and relative minor. So a minor chord, it's a minor chord that has the same sharps and flats as its major equivalent, its relative major, chord, and scale. It follows the same order around the circle. So if you memorize the pattern of letters around the circle of fifths, you will also know the pattern of the relative minors inside the circle. They are located 90 degrees from the major, as we discussed, or a quarter of an hour. So C to A, if we shift it A minor is the relative minor of C. Another way, which I think is a little more practical way of understanding what the relative minor is that it is equivalent to the sixth note in the major scale. So remember, we created the circle of fifths by advancing to the fifth note of each item that appeared around the circle. So starting with C, C, D, E, F, G. G is the next note. That's the next thing that we put on our circle of fifth. The relative minor is the equivalent of the sixth of that scale. So if we're talking about C, for example, C major, C, D, E, F, G, A. A minor is the relative minor of C major. Or if we're talking about D, D, E, F, G, let me start over again. D, E, F, G, A, B. B, the sixth, B is the relative minor chord of D major, etc. So that's kind of a little mnemonic device you can use as a trick to get there. A more practical one, when I'm really trying to think about, oh, what is the relative minor of this chord that I'm playing? It's the boogie note, for lack of a better term. Maybe there is a better term for it than that. But it's the note you play. So for example, if we're in F and we're playing F major, well, what is the relative minor chord of F major? Well, if I'm doing this boogie, and by boogie I mean, you hear that bum, 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 that note? To make that note, I'm making a D minor chord. Well, D minor is the relative minor of F major. If I'm playing a G chord, that tells me that E minor is the relative minor of G major. Same with C. That A note, okay, that tells me that A minor is the relative minor. It's kind of a silly trick, but it is something that is helpful. If I can figure out how to play the boogie note, then that tells me what is the chord shape for the relative minor for the major chord that I'm playing. All right? So we have our circle of fifths with our major chords around the outside, our minors, our relative minors on the inside. The main thing we want to focus on when we're looking at most songs is this little piece of the pie. So here we're talking about C major. I put a little point there to indicate that we're in C major. We're looking at the chord that is a fifth away to the right and a fifth away to the left. So C to F to G, and I do mean fifth, a fifth to G and a fifth to F, as well as the relative minor for that major chord, okay? So we're looking at these notes. And you can almost hear the musicality of how those things fit together, okay? And we can, by the way, we haven't talked about this before, but an important feature of the circle of fifths is that it is movable, so that we can, for example, we can shift it down. Now we're in the key of G, which has G, relative minor of E, C, again G, E minor. You can almost hear Country Roads right in that. We can shift it down to D, we can shift it down to A. A is the key that the song was originally recorded in. John Denver's did the song in this key. So, okay, but let's go back up to G. All right, so we're going to look at this cluster of 4 chords. These are our most prominent chords that appear in this song. Remember, I mentioned the F chord appears once and only once in this song. All the rest involve transitions between these 4 chords in different ways. Okay? So let's take a look at, for example, so we're back here at this place here. I've now put in the chord shapes. I've substituted the letter designation now with the chord shape. Was there a question? Okay, great. I've put in the chord diagrams there. And the first thing I want to look at is the chorus. Let's just zoom in. I have this kind of blown up a little bit, where we start with G, And our first transition is to go to D. Our next transition, transition 2, takes us to the relative minor of G, E minor, and then to C, and then our fourth transition is back to G. All right? So let's do this. We did this earlier in the exercises, but let's play one strum pattern, 4 beats on each one of these around this little circle of these 4 chords. Okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. To D, to E minor, to C, back to G. I think you can hear there. We're hearing the chorus. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, etc. So this little circle of going from our primary chord over to the next note on the circle of fifths, over to the relative minor, back up to the chord that precedes our primary chord, and then back to our what's called the tonic, the main chord of the key we're in. So, and this little diagram, by the way, this chord progression is wildly common, incredibly common. It's sometimes called the axis progression. And for those of you, if you know, you know. If you don't know, not right now, but at the end of this live stream, just go to YouTube and search for Axis of Awesome. It's a terrific video by a comedy group. They're called the Axis of Awesome, and they do a medley of dozens and dozens and dozens of songs that are built on this progression. In fact, again, it's so common, it is called the Axis progression after that comedy group's portrayal of that. So, for example, in fact, you can move this to other keys. Notice that as we go around the circle, the relationship between those chords remains constant. Okay, so now if we're in the key of D, to A, B minor, to G, back to D, that transition. And I think you can start to hear some of the different songs. Just a small town girl living in her lonely world. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Or when I find myself in times of worry, Mother Mary comes to me, etc. I'm not going to go through them. There are a million songs that use this very same chord progression. We can take that further. This is John Denver's, his recording. Again, the same relative positions, the same relationship between these chords. That all stays the same. The only thing that's changed is now we're using a different set of chords, but the movement between them is the same. So here we can start at A, then to E, to F sharp minor, to D. And this is how John Denver does the song. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. I can't hit that high note like he did. All right, so we can back this up, and if we wanted to do this song in the key of C, again, the relationships remain the same. Country roads to G, take me home to the place I belong, etc. And let's see. Oh, so this is now the second part of the chorus. Again, a very common chord progression. Do I have a blow up of this? Well, I've got both parts of this, but let's look at this first part. So this is the second half of the chorus. We start on G, we go to D, we go right past G, all the way up to C, and then back to G. So let's do this. Let's do 2 4-beat strums on each one of these chords in this order, okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. To D, to C, to G. So putting those two pieces together, here we have the whole chorus kind of mapped out in these relationships. So let's just play through this. So starting on G on part 1. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and to D, to E minor, to C. Now we're back at G, to D, jump back to C, and to G. And again, this whole pattern of this part 1 and part 2 is in itself a very common thing. When I find myself in times of worry, Mother Mary comes to me. So that's the part 1. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. It's the exact same chords in the exact same order as this chorus. So again, having learned, I guess one of my points, well, 2 points. One is that we can use the relationship, this understanding of the relationship between the chords as a way of being able to transition to other keys. Secondly, by learning these relationships, these progressions, and how they're diagrammed here, by learning one song, you're actually learning multiple songs, because there are some progressions of chords that are so common, they are used in dozens, maybe hundreds and hundreds of different songs, okay? So you show up at a jam, you know how to play Take Me Home Country Roads, you know how to play it really well in G, but they're playing it in A. But again, if you can picture in your mind, okay, they're in A, I know the relative minor of A. What is the relative minor of A? Let's see. There's that boogie, F sharp minor. That's my relative minor there. Again, you see the point there is that if you can begin to understand these relationships and you know your circle of fifth, you can then sort of jump in and start playing a song in almost any key. This is a representation of the verse in G. So again, we start on the G chord. We switch to the relative minor, so we go from G to E minor. Then we go over to D, leap around to C, and then back to G. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Again, a very common pattern, this way of going from a major chord to its relative minor, and then back up around the circle, back to our starting point. Okay? Yeah, this is a blow up of just that. Let's see. Same thing there. All right. Oh, this is just a representation of the very same thing. So this is what the verse is in A, which is the key that, as I mentioned, John Denver plays this in. Same thing. We start with A. We go to our relative minor, West Virginia. Then we go to E. Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Really pretty in that key. All right. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention, just real quickly, is the bridge. I'm going to jump, in the interest of time, I'm going to jump ahead to the second part of the bridge, which I think is the most interesting. Because what's happening here is we're actually doing this kind of jump thing where we go from the relative minor of G. Remember, we're in the key of G. We jump to the relative minor. We start there at E minor, and we jump from there to F. So we're now 2 steps away from G, the key that we're in. And then we work our way back around the circle clockwise. So we start on E minor, F, C, G, and D. So we're just working our way back around the circle. I think it's a very clever way that this is put together. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Just really a very clever pattern there. So this is part one and part two of the bridge, but I just wanted to mention again, we can take this same pattern and we can apply it to any one of the keys that appears on the chart here. So if we wanted to play Country Roads in F, we just need to, for the second part of the bridge, we start at our relative minor, so D minor in this case. We then jump to 2 steps away from our major chord, E flat, then B flat, F, C. We just work our way clockwise around the circle. So, driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Just very interesting. I think it's a really cool approach to kind of understanding the song. So for example, if we wanted to play this in A, I don't have it. Do I have it diagrammed here? I do not. If we wanted to play this in A, this little part of the bridge, what would we do? Well, we're in A. We know we want to start this progression at its relative minor, so F sharp minor. Where are we going to jump to? 2 steps back from the key we're in. So to G, what comes next? D, A, and then E. Working our way just around the circle. So it goes something like this, starting at F sharp minor. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Again, F sharp minor, G, D, A, E. So that's my little lesson on circle of fifths and how we can use it to begin to understand other types of chord progressions. I think this is a really interesting way to analyze songs. Someone raised the question about Nashville numbers. That's another discussion we could have about how that folds into this, how we can use Nashville numbers is basically a kind of another mnemonic device, a shortcut way of thinking about chords and their relationship to each other as a way, as a way of being able to pick up a new song relatively quickly. Another thing we could talk about is the relationship between the circle of fifths and Nashville numbers to chord shapes, and how you can look at playing a song in just about any key that you choose to, as long as you know the relationship between the circle of fifths and the chord shapes. So, for example, just going to show here. If we wanted to play Country Roads in the key of E flat, here I am starting in E flat. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Again, I don't know what those chords are, just off the top of my head. Obviously, I could figure out what they are, but I know that if we're playing in this key, and that's the one, to go to my relative minor, I move my fingers this way. To go to the next fifth above, E flat, I go to this. I just know where to move my hands. And that's based on having an understanding of the circle of fifths. So anyway, if this is something you'd be interested in me discussing in future live streams, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know in the comments or in the chat. I find it really interesting. It's a little wonky. It's a little nerdy. What does that say about me? We don't have to talk about that this evening, all right? Was there a question? Yes.
How do we determine what key a song is written in?
How do you determine what key a song is written in? That is really a great question, and that could be a whole discussion in itself. The simplest, cheatingest answer is that it's the first chord that you play in the song. Almost exclusively, the first chord that appears in a song is the key that the song is in. Not always, but often that is the case. But part of it is also understanding the relationship between the chords so that you have the sense of when you're coming back to the key you're in, the chord, the tonic chord of that key. There's a sense of that's the home chord. You're at rest now. You're back home. All of the dissonance has been resolved and you're back home. But a quick and dirty way of saying it is it's usually the first chord and it's often the last chord. Songs usually end on the last chord. That's usually the key that you're in. But it's something that you play around with. I had for years, I mentioned that axis of awesome chord progression that goes from the major to its relative minor, ahead one step, back, and then back to its starting point. That was such a common chord progression that, like through most of the early 2000s and into the 2010s, I just had a contest I would just play with myself. Watching Saturday Night Live, the musical guest would come on, and the trick was within the first 20 seconds or so, I had to figure out what key the song was and then just play along with it, because it was almost always going to be the axis progression. It was just a thing for the longest time that every song was just that same relationship, just repeated throughout the entire song. The intro, the verses, the post-chorus, the pre-chorus, the chorus, the bridge, everything was just that same chord progression. And as long as you could figure out what key they were playing in, you would just have to know how to go around the circle. So I hope that answers your question. It's probably not the most precise and technically correct answer, but it's the most practical one. Typically songs start on the key they're in, that chord, and they close with a resolution on the final chord that matches the key that you're in. Okay? All right. Any other questions, Lida? All right. Great. All right. All right. You need to play. I blathered enough. But I want to talk real quickly. I did want to include just a little bit for those of you folks who would like to play something like this. I'm going to take 2 minutes to talk about this tab. For those of you who aren't familiar with tab, this notation here, we have 4 parallel lines. Each one of those parallel lines represents the 4 strings of the ukulele from bottom to top, G, C, E, A. The number indicates the fret at which the string is being played. This is the notation for a little riff that appears in the beginning of the song. It sounds like this, and then we'll just do a little quick breakdown on it. I'm starting on the 6th fret of the E string. You see there I have 6. Is how that goes. So, a couple of things to point out. We start on the 6th of the E string, and then we do what's called a slide. You notice that there's a little slash mark there. Also down below, indicating the duration of the notes, there's an SL that indicates we're doing a slide from 6 to 7. Slash mark goes up, meaning we're sliding up. Slash mark goes the other way, we're sliding down, we're sliding up. And then we go to the 5th fret of our A string, and we hold that for an 8th note, and then 4 full notes, 4 full beats rather. Then we do the same, we repeat the same thing again, 6 to 7 slide, then a 5 to 7 slide on our A string, right? And then 7 and 7 on E string and C string. And you'll notice, just as an aside, that this is actually the G major chord. Let me just zoom in. This shape, this whole picking part, is based on the 2nd position G major chord. So what we're really playing is all of the, or some of the notes that are in this G chord shape. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. It's something we'll discuss in a future lesson. But this, just to do it real slowly, is 1, 2, 3. Almost heaven, etc. Okay? I wanted to include that because I know some folks like to be able to have this little bit of an advanced approach to just playing this. And if we were doing this in a group, we'd probably have some folks doing the picking part and some folks doing the chords. But let's go back and let's play this song in its entirety. We've looked at all the different chord progressions. We've looked at the strum patterns. We've put all the different little pieces together. Let's make some music together. And I think what I'd like to do, Lyda, if you wouldn't mind coming over here, and you run the slides, and I'm going to ask Fran to sing along. And I have to say, I kind of dropped this on Fran. I'm a good friend, aren't I?
Really good.
She shows up at my house, and I'm like, hey, would you like to sing live on the internet? Come over just a little bit more, Fran. Let's get you in the picture.
Okay.
All right. So I think you might, let me turn this just a little bit. You can still see my strumming, right? If I put it here like so. All right. And what, just to clarify, so you're going to sing the melody part throughout, and I'm going to sing the harmony part.
Right.
Okay? All right. So I'm just going to strum. I'm not going to do the picking, and I hope you'll join in as well. Let's pick and sing and strum rather together. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, G. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I hear a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Down country roads, take me home. Down country roads. Very nice. Yeah. I think we should do it again.
Of course you do.
Home? Yeah. I usually put the question out to the group, but we're going to do it anyway. Everybody wants to play it again.
That's the chat.
All right. One thing I really quick, if I can just point out, how I did the last note, this is just a tiny little throwaway thing, but it's a fun thing to do on that. Of course, you can do a this is at the very end of the song. Take me home, down country road. What I like to do is when I go back to that G, I hit it, but without having my middle finger here pressed. I'm not giving you the middle finger. Without having that touching the A string, and then I lay it down hard and confidently on that second fret of the A string. Okay? It's what's called a hammer-on, and it sounds like this. Do you hear it starting off on an A and then going up to a G? So that the whole thing sounds like... It kind of gives it a sense of the original, because that's what they're doing on the original corning. Take me home, down country road.
Oh, nice.
It has just a nice little ring to it. So if you want to try that, that's just a fun thing to do on the last little strum. Okay? So let's take it from the top.
Okay.
All right? Here we go. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miners, ladies, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me, radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Down country roads, take me home. Down country roads.
Good job.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Fran.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Can we please have a warm round of applause from home for Miss Fran here? And please say thank you in the chat to Fran. Thank you, Fran. I know I kind of put you on the spot to sing along, but I thought that was great. We got to do the harmony part. By the way, we didn't have time to get to it, and it's perfectly fine. We often don't. But in the handout, in the song sheet, I do have tabbed out the harmony part for the chorus. So if that's something you want to learn, it is in the song sheet handout. It's also in this presentation, which I will share. I typically get this out by the next day, so by this time tomorrow, this presentation in PDF format will be available on the music library page of AustinUkuleleSociety.com. Go to our website there, Music Library. It'll be right at the top. The song sheet, the link to this live stream, as well as this PowerPoint as a PDF that you can download. So that's our song for this evening. So let's just wrap up and we will play our closing song. Before we do, I want to offer a big thanks to Lyda, who has been running the chat for us and fielding questions, getting them to me. Thank you, Lyda. A big thanks to Fran Stelly here, who has joined me. Lean in again, Fran, and say hello. Hello, there's Fran. Thank you, Fran, for all you've done. Can we have a big thank you for Fran, a big shout out for her in the chat. Also, a big hello. Wish you were here. We missed seeing you, Jen, and happy birthday. Tomorrow is Jen's birthday, so please give Jen a big happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jen.
There we go. Fran said so. Big happy birthday to Jen tomorrow. Also, if you would like to, please consider having a photograph of yourself. Take a selfie of yourself watching the live stream, or you with your uke or your Austin Ukulele Society t-shirt. Get someone in your household to take a photo. Send it over to austinukes@gmail. If you could do that by the end of the day on Saturday, the 24th, that would be terrific. Jen and I will gather all those up together and we'll get some nice collages posted on Facebook and on our website. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And if you liked what we did this evening, even just a little, if you liked it just a little, just click that like button again. It lets YouTube know that we're here. I didn't mention earlier, but I should. Since the last time we did this live stream, our channel has grown. We have now surpassed 18,000 subscribers, which is awesome. We also hit a milestone. We passed 3 million views on our channel, which is also very cool.
Did you mention the selfies?
I did just mention the selfies. So subscribe to the YouTube channel to find out when our next live streams are going to be and other events. Consider making a donation to the Austin Ukulele Society if you would like to. It is not required. We're going to keep doing this indefinitely at no charge. That's my commitment. But if you would like to, go to our website, look for the donate link, and you can make a donation there. That would be terrific. Quick reminder, June 25th, here in Austin, workshop with Show Humphreys. There'll be more information about that coming out. July 12th, ukulele open mic here in Austin at Kick Butt Coffee. It will also be live streamed on Kick Butt's YouTube channel. There'll be more information about that coming out soon, but that would be fun whether you're here in Austin or not. Always a fun event. The next live stream, next time we'll be doing this, is going to be July 24th. And just another quick mention of the Fayetteville Ukulele Jamboree. This is going to be in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm going to be there to teach a couple of workshops, one on Friday, September 19th, and another on Saturday, September 20th. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing a lot what we did tonight, a breakdown of a song on each day where we're going to drill on it and practice chords, chord progression, strums, picking parts, vocals, and then shoot a video of that to share. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited about that. That's all the announcements I have. So let me load up our closing song. Should have got this going a little bit sooner. Also want to offer a very big thanks to you all for joining in to this event. We could do all this preparation and all this sharing, but if you didn't tune in, it would all be for nothing. So thank you so much. I'm incredibly grateful to everybody who tunes into these events. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it worthwhile. I really enjoy doing these. I look forward to doing them every time we do them. As I often say, I love playing ukulele, and I love it more when I get to do it with folks like you who love it too. So thank you so much for joining in. All right, let's play our closing song. And stay tuned until the end because we will, I'll be showing our latest video, which is something we just recorded 2 weeks ago tonight, Roy Orbison's You Got It. I'll be running that video just as soon as we go through our closing song. All right? As we have done for every one of our gatherings since we first started meeting back in January of 2011, before we head out on the road again, we always play On the Road Again. So just like our opening song, we're just going to strum on C. We're going to use this strum pattern, sometimes called the island strum. I will start strumming on C. You join in when we're all together. I'll count us in, all right? Something like this. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. Life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Like a band of gypsies we go down the highway. We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way. And our way is on the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. Life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. I can't wait, and I can't wait to get on the road again. One more time, and I can't wait to get on the road again. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next time. Take care until then. Bye-bye. One, two, 1, 2, 3, and. Every time I look into 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and.